Hi sillies, welcome to another video. I'm really excited that you guys are here. For today's video, we are going to be doing kind of like a hodgepodge between a wrap up from all the books that we've read, a little like monthly catch up what we've been doing this entire month, and a flip through of my journal. Let's get into it. So in the beginning of January, we were actually in the worst slump of our entire reading experiences. When I say reading slump, I don't mean like nothing sounds good. I mean, do we ever want to read again type of reading slump. And again, that may sound dramatic. I wasn't obsessed with any books. I normally love reading, obviously that's the whole point of this channel, but I just felt like nothing sounded good, nothing was piquing my interest. I don't know, it's just nothing was clicking. And the fact that it happened to both Sam and I at the same time was honestly kind of disturbing because we both were so out of it and neither one of us could help the other one get into it. We both were like, I don't want to read, neither do you, we're not reading. So beginning of January it was kind of worrisome. Then once kind of like the halfway point of January passed, we did that video that you guys would have seen already. It was us trying to get out of the reading slump and luckily it worked. And that's where all these books came from because we were able to like push through and really read during that video. We ended up reading 5 books. I wish that we could count the 6th book that we read, but we started it January 31st and then finished it the 1st of February. So I'm not gonna count it. It's gonna be part of my February monthly version of this, something that you guys would have already seen, or maybe I'll put the clips here. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put them, but we ended up going to Chicago. We live very close to it, right outside of the city, and we took the train in and it was really cute. We ended up kind of like bopping around. We saw the fancy Barnes & Noble in Chicago, which if you haven't seen, it kind of took over. I think it was an old bank at some point, or maybe it was a Walgreens right before. I'm not quite sure what it was right before, but it looks like a bank, and that was really fun. It was really crowded, so I recommend if you're in this area to go during a low traffic time because it was crazy in there. It felt like there was a book signing going on, like there were so many people. And then we went to a stationery store. I had seen it online and I really wanted to go and get some washi tape. I got like a huge mega pack for my journal when we went and just started getting supplies for it, but I wanted a little bit more like, I don't know, like fun. So I'll pick out the ones I remember for sure were in that pack, but I don't remember exactly what came with it. To be completely honest, these are the only ones that I necessarily remember. We have these, which I really like, and then this big one is actually Sam's, but I'll go over what they are. So this one has like really cute kind of like bottom little designs, I guess is how I would describe it. It kind of looks like little decorative like swoops and stuff like that. It will not focus on that one. Maybe it'll focus on this one. And then we have this. And then this is the reason I actually got the pack. I just thought that it was so stunning. It has like little teacups. Oops. And then there's like a corset. It's hard for you to see, but that's a corset. And then a sewing machine, like a butterfly or moth. And I thought that was so stunning, just because it was very specific. I really liked it. And then Sam got this, I'm not quite sure, oh, apothecary type. And this one was really fun, like gold detailing. I'm not the biggest fan of gold, so this one I don't think I'm going to be using, but Sam was really excited about it. So that was really fun. And then afterwards we went to this really cute used bookstore, which is really interesting to see because I feel like you go into used bookstores and every single one, the phone started ringing, sorry about that. We'll go to Half Price Books, for example, and we'll get a book. We got this book there, perfect condition, almost brand stinking new, and it was half off. Like, and then we'll go to like a other used bookstore and it will be a book falling apart completely, like pages are ripped, spine is broken, water damage on the corner, and it'll be almost the exact same price as if you were buying it new, which is just so crazy. I feel like those bookstores really make it so people just buy new, because trying to get any money off, you're getting like a book that's in shambles. So that was definitely interesting. I still thought that the store was beautiful, and definitely very like aesthetic and vibey and bookish, but it was definitely interesting to see the difference in price range, so that was kind of weird. And then we just walked around, had a good time, and then came back. That's kind of what we did all of January. And now going into the books that we read in January that I'm really excited about, kind of give like a rundown of every single one. The very first book that we read in January was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is a mystery thriller, which normally is not my favorite type of genre. I don't know, I feel like I just ruin it for myself, honestly. I feel like I either guess what's happening or I get frustrated by what the ending is. It was 382 pages and we ended up giving it a 3.75. So to set the scene of the book, in 1929, there was a father, mother, and sister that were killed in this house. They live on the side of a cliff in this ginormous mansion with all this land, and at that time they had all these people working there, and they were just a very, very well-off family. So father is killed, mother is killed, and the sister or daughter is actually found hung. From the very jump, you know that that murder took place. Now, during that time, everyone thought that it was the other daughter, Lenora, and she was blamed for it, but they couldn't necessarily find proof, so they just kind of thought she did it, and she kind of went into hiding. So she was 17 at the time, and that's kind of what you're seeing. And then you time jump, and you're following a completely different character that doesn't know that family. So you're following Kit. She is a home health aide. The year is 1983, and she is just trying to find a new job, and this new job kind of falls into her hands, and she is actually working for the Hope family, caring for Lenora, that 17-year-old girl that was blamed for her family's murder. So now Lenora is in a wheelchair, completely unable to use any part of her body other than, I believe it's her left hand, because she had a series of strokes that have left her mute and completely paralyzed other than that left hand being able to be used. And she uses a typewriter to communicate. And so Kit, again, that home health aide, is working with her kind of to figure out what happened because Lenora wants to tell her side of the story. Second book that we read was Filthy Rich Vampire by Geneva Lee, and I really, really liked the story. It surprised me. I thought that it was going to be like only based on smut, or I don't know, I just gave it a low expectation and I judged it by the title and the cover and everything, and it ended up being very surprising. So in this book, you are following Julian. He's a vampire. He's family that has old money. You know, he's kind of like the top of the top in terms of like vampire social world. There is actually a social season going on, and he is kind of forced by his family, specifically his mom, and told, you need to find a wife. You need to figure out what you're doing. You can't be a bachelor anymore. You need to find a girl right now. He does not want that. He wants absolutely nothing to do with that. So when he is at a party, he bumps into a cellist. Her name is Thea, who was a human and is a struggling musician slash student, and she's just trying to get by. She is dealing with a lot of issues with her family, specifically like medical debt, and she's just trying to like find her way in life. She's trying to balance doing gigs, doing school, working multiple jobs, but she bumps into Julian, and they kind of form this plan that she is going to be his fake girlfriend, try to fool and give himself more time before he has to commit to marrying someone. This was obviously a fake dating trope, and definitely, I mean, I would say slightly insta-lovey, but it was still fun. Like that intensity, like he's a vampire, he smells her blood, he knows he's infatuated. But we ended up giving this a 4.25, and it was 381 pages. Next, I'm gonna kind of smush two books together because they're the first and second in a series, but we have The Foxglove King, which is the first one, and then I don't have the second book because you read it on Kindle Unlimited, but it is The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Witten, and these were really like the key contributors to us getting out of that reading slump. I could not put these down. I love Hannah Witten's writing. We read For the Wolf and for the Throne, which is her other duology. When we picked these, I was so excited to just get back to her writing style, because she is the type of writer where she picks you up and then launches you into the world. There's barely any buildup. There's barely any like slow character world building. Let's talk about the scenery for 18 pages. No, she is like, oh, you wanted to read this? Here you go. And you're all of a sudden you're walking the streets of this fantasy world, and you just kind of have to run with it and figure it out as you go, which is definitely different and I think could be a little hard for some people, but I love it. I feel like it's very refreshing. You are following Lore. She is a human living in a fantasy world where there's like a magic system going on, which I'll explain in a second. She got taken in by this cartel. She was young. She got like adopted in, and she has like this very mysterious past. You don't know exactly what happened. You don't know why she doesn't have like her like true family. The thing that is special about Lore is that she actually has the ability to wield Mortem. So Mortem is what the magical system in this world is based off of, and it's Mortem, and I forget what the other version of it is, but it's like dark and light, death and life type of distinction, but mortem is the dark one and is where all like the death is. So every single thing, especially like inanimate objects, have mortem in it, which is what she's able to wield and she can sense, and you know, she learns to control it and stuff like that. Entire villages have been dying, disappearing in one night. Like they go to bed and they do not wake up and they are trying to figure out what's going on, and so she kind of gets pulled into that. You have kind of like a love triangle going on in terms of the romance. You have gods and goddesses and monks and priests and royalty. We ended up giving both of the books, Foxglove King and Hemlock Queen, 4.25s. We kind of just felt like they were a little bit slow at certain points, but otherwise we really enjoyed them, and I would highly recommend this author and like all her books obviously, but this author specifically. I think she's going to always be where the second she drops a book, I will be reading it. The last book that we read this month was Apprentice to the Villain. This is by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and this is the second book in this series. I'm not going to go too much into depth about this because obviously it is a second book and I don't want to give too much away, but in this world, the kind of overall vibe of it is very like fairy tale. I would describe it if you've ever watched Tangled, the Disney movie. There's also, you know, there's dragons and there's a king with, you know, the royalty side of everything, and then there's pixies and mythical creatures and angry like trolls and stuff like that, which is just very typical like fairy tale descriptions, but with like adult humor. I really enjoy it. I feel like this is something that's kind of been like a diamond in the rough where we've gotten adult comedic relief with all the fun of like a fairy tale world, which I feel like doesn't always come off like this easy, because I feel like with like adult humor and like adult topics, it gets really heavy, it gets really dark, it gets really slow, or you just have like a lot of sexual scenes, or like there's just more that comes with a lot of other like adult fantasy worlds. But this, I feel, keeps so much more lighthearted youth in the story while giving like adult comedic relief. So I really recommend the series just because it's been kind of like a breath of fresh air. We gave this a 4. That took hours, actual stinking hours for me to finish. You guys almost died. That actually really freaked me out, because if I drop this camera, there will not be another one. What I was saying before you guys came crashing down was that took so long and I didn't even fill in that many things because we only read 5 books. I'm gonna go through it kind of quickly with this like main huge library spread. You can see this bright red. I made the choice to put color in here because I have a million bright, fun colored pens and I never use them, and I thought, oh, it'll be fun to do kind of like the vibe of the book cover when I fill in the book. And I'm hoping that when I do more, it looks better, but right now you could just see the 2 bright reds that I used and everything else kind of blends better. So hopefully I didn't make a mistake. I filled in the book like little outline with the vibe of like the cover of the book, and then I put the last name of the author just so I can make it easier for myself when I'm doing like series and stuff like that I could put them together. And then I added these cute tiny little book covers in like this overall like tracker, and then I did the ratings underneath. Then nothing with the goal page. I'm not gonna mess with that until like next year, but I just have it here. 25 books in 2025. We only read one book, which I'm surprised that we even read any because we weren't thinking about it when we did it. So we read Foxglove King. So I just did a little check to mark it off because I didn't really give myself that much space. And then we have like the beginning of all the months spread, this little divider. And so I have this like yearly kind of tracker situation, and it's just the amount of books, page count, and average rating. Then I have the actual like month overall spread. So I just have like January here. And then over here, I did like a month calendar, and I just did little hearts where I posted. You can see I only posted 2 times in January. That's really bad. And then I have all the books that I read. And down here is just like the total pages, average rating again. But I got to use my really, really cute new washi tape, which I love. Then I'm not going to show what I really said because it's spoilers, but I have this, I mean, you could see that I wrote. We have like the overall individual, what I thought about each book. These are just like the thoughts that came to my mind. Obviously, I have like this as a form of a reading journal. I have Sam who can recount specific things. I'm not necessarily worried about not remembering what happened in the book. It's more just my immediate thoughts. Or the only one left, I have the ending drove me crazy because I really got frustrated with the ending. And then for Apprentice of the Villain, I have I Live and Breathe the one and only Kingsley, which is one of the side characters who I think is the funniest little creature I've ever read about. Ever. That is it. That is it for my reading journal. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm very curious on if I'm going to like when I'm editing how this turned out, because it definitely is a little different than the way that I do wrap-ups normally, and I'm trying to find the way I want to do wrap-ups because I do want to have this type of video where I'm debriefing about the month and talking about all the books and giving my final thoughts, because I definitely think that the way I think about the books right after reading them versus like reflecting a little bit is different. But I'm just trying to find the best way to do these videos because I want to show my journal, I want to talk about the books, but I don't necessarily love sit-down videos. So I'm trying to figure out the way I want to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and bye!